What's up, everyone? Sean Count Blagrath here today with a list. It's that time of the year, uploading my top albums, biggest disappointments, favorite this, whatever the hell, videos. And today I'm going to get the worst out of the way first. This is, in my opinion, the 10 biggest letdowns of the year. And coming in at number 10 is Tear with Valkyria or something like that. Yeah, Tear I've always enjoyed immensely, but there was something about this new album that just didn't click with me. There was a few really good moments here and there, but overall this was kind of an album that I listened to once and kind of threw away and just never really checked out again. It's an album that's not very good. It's not full of that much depth. I just felt really disappointed in it. I wanted to love it. I wanted there to be all these amazing, catchy, mesmerizing melodies and stuff, but there was none of that. And it was just a huge letdown to me. So number 10 is Tear. Coming in at number 9 is Pathology with the Lords of Raphael. Probably butchered that. Yeah, I'm a huge Pathology fan. Absolutely love them. And when I heard that they're going on to Severed Records, I was just extremely excited. And then I heard the album, and it was a big letdown, and all of it is solely because of the vocals. To me, the vocals don't work for Pathology. It's this really weird sort of sound where it's like understandable. And when I listen to Pathology, I don't want the vocals to be understandable. I want them to be these super guttural, nasty, nauseating sort of vocals. And there was none of that. The only thing that was nauseating was how laughable the vocal performance was. Definitely not a fan of it. And that was a huge letdown for me. Coming in at number 8 is one that I had high hopes for, considering these guys are one of my favorite bands, and that is Leaves' Eyes with Symphony of the Night. Or Symphonies, excuse me, Symphonies of the Night. I'm a huge Leaves' Eyes fan, and when I got the promo for it, I listened to it quite a bit, and I had great enjoyment out of it among the first few listens, but the more I listened to it, the worse it got. It's just an extremely shallow album that is just kind of lackluster. There was nothing that really made it good or made it memorable, like the albums Lovelorn or Legendland, or even the last one, Mere Dead, Njord, any of them. They're all amazing albums. Vinland Saga too. All those have this certain element to it where it's just very catchy, it's very memorable. You'll come back for more. And I found myself listening to it at first and thinking this is good, but it was just way too over the top in the gothic symphonic department. And for me, that was a big, big letdown. So I was really let down by that. Number 7, and this one is mostly due to the pure hype machine that surrounded this album, and that is Suffocation with the Pinnacle of Bedlam coming in at number 7. Oh my god, guys. I love old Suffocation. It's great stuff, and I wanted to love this, and I didn't listen to it for the longest time just because I really wasn't in the mood to listen to brutal death metal. And when I finally did get around to listening to it, I didn't understand the hype that surrounded it. This was easily one of the most hyped up albums of the entire year. And for some reason, it was just immensely popular, and I don't get it. It's just Suffocation doing what they've done for 20 plus years. There's nothing new added. It was just a kind of, in a way, a shit show. It wasn't good. It was good, it just wasn't great. It didn't wow me at all, so I don't know, guys. I didn't care for it. Coming in at number 6, this one really, really bothered me, and that is Amon Amarth with Deceiver of the Gods. I love the last few Amon Amarth records, especially in my opinion their peak was with Odin on Our Side and Twilight of the Thunder God. Those are just some absolutely amazing albums. And Surtur Rising was very good as well. But this is just... I cringe thinking about it. Amon Amarth doesn't really need to do anything different, per se, because they've always kind of done the same formula throughout their whole career. But this time around, it was just so utterly boring and mind-numbing that it was painful to listen to. Even the song that had Messiah from Candlemass on guest vocals did nothing for me. This is just an album that just stays at a steady line of just pure disappointment. I mean, I don't know, guys. It's just not that good. There's nothing memorable to it. They're playing the same style that they have for years, and I feel like they've just kind of ran out of ideas, and they're just recycling everything that was rejected from the past albums. That's what this felt like to me. Just wasn't that good. Wasn't feeling it. So, that's number 6. Number 5, this one pains me to say because this band wrote my favorite death metal album of all time. My favorite death metal album of all time being Severed Survival. And this album is The Headless Ritual by Autopsy. I love Autopsy. I didn't like this album that much. It had some moments where it was good, classic Autopsy playing what they do best. And especially after coming from Macabre Eternal, I feel like this was a huge letdown. It kind of went from having this big, massive sort of sound that the last album had, and then they came back and it was just stripped down and kind of a return to form, so to speak. But the production didn't help matters. It lacked the grit, it lacked the feeling that I get when I listen to Autopsy. I've always loved that feeling of I'm listening to the audio equivalent of a snuff film. And I didn't get that at all on this. It was just an overproduced piece of just almost generic proportions of old school death metal. I love Autopsy, and it pains me to say that so much. It's just not that good. If I was to review it and give it a score, I'd say I'd probably give it a 6. It's not bad. It's not the worst thing I've ever heard, but it's definitely not their best. And I feel like they could have done a lot more, so I'm hoping their next album will be better. Number 4, this is another one that really let me down, and it's because this band wrote one of my all-time favorite black metal albums, and that is Satyricon with their self-titled debut, and my favorite by them being Dark Medieval Times. Was I expecting Dark Medieval Times? Absolutely not. They haven't came close to that in years. Do I still enjoy their other stuff? Absolutely. I love the Age of Nero, Now Diabolical, Volcano, The Shadow Throne, Nemesis Divinia. Rebel Extravaganza is kind of iffy for me, but it's still a decent album, especially when compared to this atrocity. This album sucks. It's just an overwhelming bag of soggy ass. I was just so let down by it. The guitars were just constantly flat. They had the atmospheric black metal vibe going on with the chains of notes and all that happy stuff, but you know, it lacked the darkness. The drums sounded terrible. The drums didn't match anything the guitar was doing. It just didn't work, and I don't know, I couldn't stomach it for more than 2 listens. I've tried to force myself and I can't do it, and I don't really want to do it. Just a big letdown. Number 3. This I was really looking forward to, especially after reading an interview with a member of this band saying that it was going to be more like the whole album is going to be kind of like the final track on their last album. And I'm talking about Watain with The Wild Hunt, and the final track being the almighty epic song Waters of Ain. I love Lawless Darkness to death. I feel like it's one of the best black metal albums that's came out in the last 10 years. Just absolutely mind-blowingly amazing. Just huge on every single spectrum. So I was really looking forward to The Wild Hunt to see what they would do. And what did they do? They delivered nothing. They didn't deliver the goods, guys. This is an album that I, once again, forced myself to listen to countless times, and there was nothing about it that really appealed to me. The only song on there that I feel like is good is We Rode On, because it brings forth something different. It's just really stripped down, it's really basic for Watain, and it's just really boring for Watain. I've always loved their music, but this time around there was just something about how mediocre the riffs were, and the drum work just felt lazy. And the whole album just kind of fell flat on its face, and once again, just very disappointed. Number 2, Flesh God Apocalypse with Labyrinth. Guys, I love Mafia and Oracles by Flesh God Apocalypse. Agony was just, once again, soggy bullshit. It was terrible. I can't listen to it at all. And I was hoping that they would have learned that that sound is boring and monotonous and just awful overall. But you know what? They didn't. They didn't learn. They didn't learn from past mistakes of maybe we should turn down the orchestrations a little bit and turn up the guitar just a smidge so it could still retain elements of death metal, and they claim to be a death metal band. This is not a death metal album, guys. This is a symphonic album with death metal drums and vocals. To me, death metal needs guitar. There's no guitar in this. It's awful. And the number 1 biggest disappointment of the year for me is easily Infestissimon by Ghost. Oh my god. Where to begin with this album? First of all, Opus Eponymous is just phenomenal. I love it. I've listened to that album hundreds of times. It's an instant classic. As soon as you hear it, just instantly it'll click with you. It did with me, and I love it. This album, they kind of took more of, instead of a darker, more sinister vibe to the music, they kind of approached it in this happy-go-lucky 60s, 70s sort of pop mentality, and it doesn't work with their shtick. And they're just another gimmicky band doing gimmicky bullshit, trying to get more fans through their gimmicks. I don't like that. That bothers me if your band relies on a gimmick, and I feel like that's what Ghost does. But regardless, the music was great on the first one. The music on this one does not deliver at all. The keyboards are once again overbearing. It's just everywhere on this album, and it doesn't sound that good. The vocals, they sound amazing, but what he's singing about does not match what the music sounds like. I understand the whole idea of trying to expand your audience, and their whole thing is they're trying to preach to a bigger audience, but it doesn't work for them. And in my opinion, the album is just a big bag of disappointment. And guys, that's it. What were your biggest letdowns of the year? Tell me what you guys think, and that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing, and as always, keep it metal.